All right.
Do practice.
We are back. Episode 52 with Jacob Kubon. Thank you so much for coming on the Eric and Tony show.
You said it.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
we did it.
You got
You
it.
did it.
Yeah.
All right.
It's in there.
Dude, we're having some Bud Lights. First time. Not a sponsor yet. But,
Yeah,
we're getting
BLs, there. Nice crispy.
Is that your go-to light beer, Bud Light?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said,
Where are you
what?
from originally?
Michigan.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
Miller Lite guy.
Okay.
Like Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Always. And, I'll take a Bud Light, but I'll be completely honest. It's like third on my list.
Yeah.
It's Miller, Coors, Bud Light.
I mean, I'm pretty fine with whatever, but that's where I lean.
Yeah.
I don't usually drink beer for the taste.
I mean, you have to have some. They're all the same $12.99 price point at Ralph's.
Yeah.
So it's like you're gonna go with your team, right?
Yeah.
I happen to be a Miller Lite guy. I think the can looks cool.
Yeah. It's good.
Yeah, any light
Good
beer,
beer.
Bud Light, it's a good beer. It goes good with a hot dog or burger or
Yeah.
brat,
Yeah.
It's like, wets the whistle.
Yeah.
It's, it gets the job done.
Yeah.
How did you feel when like that whole ban on like Bud Light is being banned because
Oh, man.
they had the transgender girl do it and all this thing and
Yeah.
there's all this backlash where you like covering your beer bottle
No.
or whatever? Or
You're
you're like-
standing up even prouder.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the nice thing was it made Bud Light cheaper.
Yeah.
Like they were doing promotions and stuff
Yeah.
for it. They were
Yeah.
I think at Ralph's they even had one where it was like an 18 pack for like $6 with some
hilarious.
coupons and
Really?
stuff. It was insane.
Last time I saw a special like that was coronavirus for Corona.
Yeah, yeah,
Fucking
exactly.
Yeah,
that
that's
shit
true.
away.
Yeah.
Full pallet, $5.
Yeah.
All right, I'm about to
You're like,
drunk.
giddy up,
Yeah,
let's
yeah.
go.
Because
Yeah.
people,
Doing the Corona 19
people are
challenge. You
so
drink 19
stupid.
beers.
Yeah. I was like, I'm just here to drink this beer. I don't care what it says about me or anything like that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna stand off unless it's some like crazy stuff like certain companies like experimenting on
backing
stuff or
shit,
something.
yeah.
where you're like
Yeah.
backing something.
Like
Bud
bear
Light-
aspirin, testing it on the Jews in the Holocaust. Just, that's a
Really?
fact. Yeah.
Is that like a real
That's
thing?
what they did the research.
Oh,
Like, hey, you got a bunch of people that we can just test stuff on. We're Bear Aspirin. Let's try our stuff with them.
I mean,
We'll give you
but
some money for fucking.
you
your
got a
weird
headache
suits.
though, and that's all you got. I mean,
You do get
You
a
get-
little. You probably get some flashbacks with that. A little
Yeah.
bit of like that pain and suffering. With
Yeah,
every
yeah.
headache. You get a different
Yeah.
kind of headache.
yeah,
Yeah,
just like
comes
depression.
in. Yeah. No, but I also, I mean, like, I would have drank it anyways, but it's not like anybody is seeing what I'm eating or drinking and is like, I'm going to get that.
Yeah.
Right. It's
I'm
like you
I'm not
go
seen
home
by
and drink a
anybody.
couple
I'm
beers.
not sponsored or
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
Right.
Ah, preference though.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Not yet. We're looking for one. If
Okay.
Everybody knows. So I know that you have your own like t-shirt company,
Mhm.
or it's apparel or t-shirt, or is it specific
It's
to
like everything I'm wearing is me.
sweet, dude?
Yeah.
You're like me.
Yeah.
Everything
Eric's
I'm wearing
wearing a
is
lot of
me.
his own
Yeah.
shit.
I do all my
Okay.
own stuff too, so I'm like the same thing. So
Walking billboards.
yeah, exactly. I'm
Yeah.
like, for me, I was like, if I'm gonna wear clothes, why not just wear my own clothes? I could just make my own brand and do
Mhm.
my own thing instead of promoting some other asshole, some billion-dollar company
Yeah.
that like, why not? Like, it's
Yeah.
not impossible to do. And now with like drop shipping and these companies that fulfillment
That
centers,
third party.
all you are is a graphic designer, or like
Mhm.
for myself, that's all I am. And so I can just put it on a shirt, a mug, a hat, whatever for like this podcast. Like if you want to buy a mug or a shirt, you
Early
do that.
plug,
yeah,
early
so
plug,
there we
yeah.
go. Yeah.
Yeah, so like it's super easy. Whereas before, like when I was in high school and you had to get like a printing press thing and like press your own shirts and like have like every size and every color and it
Yeah.
costs thousands of dollars. Now it's like the startup cost is literally like as much time as you want to invest designing a thing and your website,
Totally.
to host it. And
Yeah.
that's pretty much it. How did you come up with Moist for
Uh,
your company?
I used to say it all the time in college just because it was like, I think, I can't remember exactly where I heard somebody say like noise at one point.
Yeah.
And so
Noise.
in that same kind of like vein, whenever I really liked something, I would say moist.
Yeah.
And my friends hated it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're
Women
just
hate
so,
that shit. That's like a
Oh.
buzzword for them.
hate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I like it because my stuff's weird. It's a little haggard and silly at the same time. Moist fits very
Yeah.
well, and it's also like a separator. Like
Yeah.
I've done booths. I had a booth years ago in like 2019, November 2019 at Designer Con, and I went crazy. I had all this stuff set up. I had these cool like face and whole picture things that you could
Okay.
do and like just silly stuff. And you could like see if I had a camera set up to see people walking by the booth and then seeing that it was moist.
They're like,
It's just a lot of like disgusted looks without even like looking at my shirts or anything
Yeah.
like that, or anything. And then you'd get people that would get excited about it and come in,
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, these are my people.
Yeah.
Like that's easy. I don't have to
Putting
like
a hard
sell.
line in the sand right away.
Who were those people?
Show yourselves.
Oh, dude. Yeah. The people that were like frowning at it.
No, the people that were about it. Like,
Oh.
what was that like, who was your tribe that was like attracted to this?
It was crazy because it was a little bit of everything. I mean, people were at the con because they were just fans of crazy art and different designs and a lot of like comic booky people and like a lot of nerds and things like that. And so really, if you were just kind of original, you got a lot of people's attention. Yeah. And so, yeah, it was a lot of people that were big into like comedy and things like that anyways, which I'm into, and just like weirdos, like genuine weirdos.
Yeah.
Like I was selling a con exclusive that was 4x6 frames of used condoms. And then I had a label maker with me, and you could put a date and a name on it. And then that would be like a thing. And then I was also selling these things called vials that had any bit of me. You could get one that had my leg hair, pubes, spit, blood, cum, stuff like that. And I think the week before Designer Con, I got really drunk and I fell down on the street at one point, and I had this huge scab. So I picked that and I put it in one, and somebody bought it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Like
somebody came back 3 different times and was like looking through those vials. I was like, I gotta get one of these. I don't know which one. And I was like, that one's an exclusive. I don't fall down all the time. And he got it. End of the con.
Like, I make a bunch of cup.
Yeah. It just like, yeah, exactly. I was like, I'll hop in the back and fill these ones up real quick. But yeah, it was wild. It was very fun too, because like it was just that enough kind of weird that I got along, and we
like
really well.
I've been in unrelated news. I've been a suspect in 64 crimes across the country at this point.
Yeah. When I started selling those, one of my friends was like, "Hey, you might want to not do this, because somebody buys one of these and then sprinkles it on a dead body or something, or just like
you were at the scene of the crime. Your scab was there.
Yeah, for real. It would be a very.
You'll be driving my car as a true story.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
What do you mean, officer? I was here.
Yeah. It would also make for, great publicity for the brand.
Yeah.
If I was in court, just like talking about like, no, Your Honor, you don't understand. I sell. This
it was
stuff.
a vial.
Moist, yeah, exactly.
The Moist brand has been on like 95 murder documentaries and crime documentaries.
I mean,
can't catch this guy.
Yeah. I mean,
you gotta watch whatever they do. They put like
a
ammonia on there or something that wipes the DNA. So you gotta just douse.
Put a little bit of that in there.
You're good to go. You can still sell the vials.
Yeah. So
don't end the product line. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You gotta tweak the recipe.
Just like a little bit to be like, oh, is there cayenne pepper in the cum you found?
Yeah.
I sprinkle that in to make sure that people know it's my brand. That kind of thing. Yeah.
Or just lie to people.
It's my
like,
signature.
it's my scab, and just like some like burnt, egg.
Right.
Something.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it'd be if I was in court for that, unless I went to jail, I feel like it'd be an interesting case for people to be like, yeah, we don't know really how to handle this. Somebody's selling their.
We know a lawyer
that
he specializes in those cases of people wrongly convicted. We had his name's
really?
Andy Hale. He was on here. He got guys out of jail that have been in jail for like 60 years on crimes that they did not
get you
commit.
Eventually.
Yeah. Okay.
So if that ever happens, we got a guy you can call.
Yeah.
He's good
got
at
a big
stuff.
billboard up that's like, do you sell your blood and cum? Were you wrongfully convicted of a murder for the 18th time? Call me.
Call me.
I'm the
Vials got you again.
Yeah. I'm the moist best lawyer you can find out here. Yeah.
Moist lawyer.
But yeah, I started. I just started the company just making shirts for myself that didn't exist yet, and it was just like gear that I wanted to wear.
Yeah.
And then at a certain point, I was like, oh, why keep this from other people? And then just started selling it, and it's such a cool like kind of tribe thing.
Yeah.
Because you get to know people. You're like, oh, you're into the same shit I am, like that kind of thing. Like, yeah.
What do you have like a biggest seller?
Yeah, I during the pandemic, I did a ton of shorts designs that were like movies and TV shows, and I have 2 that sell like crazy. I have a Matthew Lillard one from Scream, where he's saying, "My mom and dad are going to be so mad at me." I don't know if you guys know that movie very well,
absolutely.
But it's like a great scene. That one sells a ton. People wear it to horror cons all the time. I've had people send me photos of them in it with Matthew Lillard,
Really?
stuff like that, which
That's
is
cool.
super neat.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I didn't think it would ever, anything would be like, oh man, like this is like,
Yeah.
that's great. But it like, yeah, it hits you in a very fun way. And then I have an Adam Sandler one from The Wedding Singer where he's doing Somebody Kill Me Please.
Okay.
That one sells like crazy.
Is that
Shorts also,
just-
or shirt?
I made him into
Okay.
shirts.
So is that just the text of that, or is that like a picture of the?
It's their faces.
Is there? So how do? Is
Mhm.
there any like copywriting or like can't do? Because I was thinking about doing something like that too, but I don't know. I just haven't yet, just because I don't know about
Yeah.
the.
I haven't gotten hit with that. I haven't also used
Not yet.
Yeah, exactly. I've gotten cease and desist before. But they were stuff that I was like, oh yeah, no, totally, I get it.
If you do like an X out the eyes type thing, and like is there a way you can kind of get around that if you only show a certain amount of the picture? Do you know what I'm saying?
I mean, the thing is I draw the faces too. So I
Oh.
think it's such a weird line with a lot of that because there's so many different court cases that get cited. There was the Shepard Fairey one with the Obama picture
Yeah.
that went out, and it's hard because the photographer in that one was claiming, you pretty much just like traced over my picture. I took the picture. I should be like, this is my thing.
Right.
But then it's like, I can't think of the word, but if you mess with it enough or you like make it a new thing,
Yeah.
you're usually covered.
Okay.
Yeah, like a sample.
That's what I
Yeah.
thought, because
Yeah.
I've gone through those threads too, and I've read them like some of them like cancel each other out, and then I'm like, okay, basically if I fuck with it enough, I make it my own, kind of like an abstract version of it or
Yeah.
something like that. What was the other thing too? There was like if you're using the same exact image and then you take it in Photoshop and make it like a stamp version of it.
Yeah.
I think that's like enough too to like not have it copywritten.
Yeah. That one's
And-
pretty Shepard Fairey. I mean, it wasn't like a stamp, but it was like that cutout kind of thing because he was a street artist, and that's
Yeah.
what a lot of those like.
But the thing is, he
throw
also
ups
kind of took he's the obey guy, so he took that
Mhm.
from like
Andre the Giant.
no, he took that from fucking They Live, the
Oh
John
yes,
Carter movie and
yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Oh.
which is such a cool little homage, and then like the fucking like bringing it into the fucking Obama thing. There's a lot of cool stages in that kind of thing, but it's just like this is just art lifted from like a 1980s fucking like.
I've also
Actually.
heard that if you use AI, like if you use Midjourney, all that stuff it's copyright free because it's a one-off. It's a Midjourney. It's a program that's
Yeah.
creating it, and it's unique to itself. So you can type in all your prompts and all that stuff, and it'll generate like a picture of insert like Adam Sandler
Right.
screaming, whatever. It'll make like a generic version of an Adam Sandler, but enough where people are like, okay, I get who that is, and then you put the text in there, then people connect it to that,
Yeah.
like that kind of a thing. Have you used any of the AI stuff yet?
I've done it a couple of times, mostly just for fun and some like gifts for friends and stuff like that. But I did use it for this cat design that I haven't released yet. That came up with a cool thing. But you also need to know what you're doing once you get this stuff because it's rough sometimes. Like
Yeah.
you get a really cool thing, but then you have to clean it up. And it's not a complete design. It's like
Right.
you getting pieces.
Right.
But like that's also AI stuff is going to be crazy because we're going to now in the next couple years see stuff like copyright, like people getting in
Yeah.
trouble for certain things and like likeness, even though it's AI. That's
Yeah.
where you're going to start seeing more stuff that's
Yeah.
like the fights of cease and desist with that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've messed with it a bit, but not enough, really.
Yeah, I find all that stuff kind of fascinating. I messed with Midjourney a little bit. I have a like a Christopher Hitchens AI generated like thing that I got, and like a Nikola Tesla and a George Carlin
Okay.
that they like put all these prompts in and it made like this crazy looking like image and stuff of them, enough to where it looks like them, but it's not exactly
Yeah.
them or like an actual picture of them.
Yeah.
So I feel I can get away with it. And then how I advertise it too is like I'll put like George or Hitch,
Mhm.
or like an abbreviation of like the person who it is, so then they can connect with who it is. Haven't sold any, but that's my
Yeah.
that's my like mindset around it. But I think also to your point,
Foolproof plan.
like you have to kind of take. They'll give you like a good starting point, and then
Mhm.
if you know how to use Photoshop or any like editing program, you can really kind of like go off of that and kind
Yeah.
of like really develop it and still be creative. It just kind of like it's like a tool, just like anything else,
Totally.
you know.
Yeah, it completely is. And it's something though that's getting interesting with like there's a lot of like stories out of people going to events and trying to sell things at their booth that is like all AI generated, and they're getting booted.
Oh, really?
Because there are these events that are for people that are like illustrators and doing this like fascinating, like wonderful paintings and things like that. And then people hop on AI and make the same thing.
Right.
And they're like, this isn't really like the place for it. Like there's places here and there for it where you can kind of get away with that. But it's more interesting, I think, now in the design community of people that are like, oh, you use AI, like that kind of thing. But I mean, it's a tool.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's, you know.
Have you, like, I know this, like, so elephant in the room, there's a big president assassination attempt, right? Okay. So having a t-shirt company and yourself, have you thought ever about like capitalizing on things that are in the media to like, oh, if I put on a shirt that said this or do this, or like, especially with politics now, everything's so divided and everyone's like so on their side, like being like, all right, well, I'll just fucking lean into both sides and say whatever this side wants to say and put whatever thing on a shirt and then say whatever the other side wants to say and just start trying to pump those out because people will more than likely buy those because everyone's focused on that. Yeah. Anything that you've ever thought of? Or
I haven't. I'm really bad. I'm already bad at getting my own designs out quickly at all. And so I'm just not fast enough. And there's so many people out there that have a bigger following that are so fast with like, as soon as anything in the media happens, somebody's mug shot, like Justin Timberlake got a DUI and all of a sudden tons of shirts out with his mug shot. Like that stuff goes up so fast. I'm like, I'm just going to be possibly getting a couple here and there. And it's a flash in the pan kind of thing that it might not last, but other people are going to beat me to it. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know if I want to put my energy into it.
I had like a funny idea for Joe Biden, even though I'm independent, but I vote Democrat. It was Weekend at Biden's, and instead of say like Weekend at Bernie's, but like have Biden in there. You know, it's kind of like a little
I think it's fun. Yeah.
You know, like a fun little harmless thing. But I'm like, I bet I could sell that to a bunch of like right wing people. Yeah, they'd probably love that shit.
You can do a bunch of fun shit with that.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, we can have Biden's and just the same thing.
Like, funny ideas or just play with them. Like that's the kind of stuff that you have a blast designing too. And I think that's why sometimes too, like the topical stuff, I don't really enjoy doing because I know while I'm designing it that I'm doing this just for money. Yeah, and that gets hard to like design because it just doesn't feel as fun as like just doing some silly stuff or you know.
I've never made anything off of trying to make money off of like never like going like if I do this I'm gonna make money. Never just wasted just mindless amounts of hours just fucking around and having fun. And
if
like
people like this I'll make money.
And then it's always like the last thing on my mind. And then I'm like, I fucking love this. I think this is great. I think you know this design is cool. And then like the last thing is what other people want, which is probably the wrong way to approach a business or like, you know, anything. I mean,
guess, but there's so many right and wrong ways. I feel like if you just do your thing and like if you trust yourself and the things that you're into and you just aim that way always, you're gonna find your audience. Because it's genuine. Like they see that, and it doesn't have to even be things that it's like, oh, he always draws in this style or does this. It's more of just like the brand is always this kind of thing. Then you get people too that are going to buy multiple things from you because they find you and then they're like, oh, this is my cat. Like anything here I'll dig, I'll throw on. Like this is that kind of thing. Instead of seeing like the spot stuff where it's like, oh, this is because of that. This is because of that and things like that. So yeah, I mean, follow your heart.
Yeah, I mean, my website, I would say, is definitely a testament to that because it's literally just like all the things that I am interested in and that I like. Like, so I have like I said, those people that I mentioned, and then I have like a bunch of dog shirts because I have a miniature dachshund, so like I'm super big on them. So I like my hats, you know. Great dachshund hat, and then same thing with like shirts and you know, and then this podcast. So like those are just things I'm into.
So podcast.
But it's like all random, like, you know, it's like so like anybody on the website's like, why does this guy just have like a bunch of like dog shirts? And then all of a sudden it's like this podcast that nobody knows about or whatever. And then like
this landing pad though,
and then these like odd interpretations of like these people who may or may not be these people, you know, like just weird shit like that. So it's just like, but again, I'm like, I don't
You're
care.
not making money.
Yeah, I'm like,
You're
I'm
still broke.
I'm paying for the website anyway. Like,
Doesn't
and
make sense.
I'm
Make the
paying
math
for the
make-
drop shipping, and so it's like I'll make it. I always think
Yeah.
too. I'm like, all I need to do is just set the price. Like, okay, being clothing and a brand designer, like I always look at like Balenciaga and all these companies, right,
Uh-huh,
that just sell like ridiculous like prices for like a dumb shirt that has like one thing on it or
Yeah.
something stupid, and I'm like, all I need to do is like get enough hype around like one of my shirts and just sell it for $1 million.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Like, or like set, because you can set your margins wherever you want. Like there's no
Mhm.
limit. So you could just literally be like, if anybody like is, you know, like into this, I'm selling this one-off, one time only, this dog shirt that I made.
Yeah.
And it's
No, you
$1
gotta sell like this. Like, if you think you have enough money to buy
Yeah,
anything you want,
yeah.
you gotta buy it. Because there's a dude I
Just-
work with that's like trying to buy some $20,000 jeans. I'm like, bro, you got a day job. That's a 50-year income that you're gonna buy
20K
for a
denim?
fucking pair of 20K denim. And you're like, unless you wear those the rest of this year or like the next 10 years,
Yeah.
that's a once a week. Maybe you're gonna be able to pull it by. But everyone's know, hey, those are the fucking pants that Jacob spent fucking 20 racks on. That's
Mhm.
insane.
Mhm.
And then it's just like it's a painter's white looking denim with a bunch of letters that add up to whatever the fuck brand name it is, but I don't know. But I'm like, those look ugly as shit. And you're only buying
That's what
those
a lot
for
of
like
that stuff
it's
is.
such an
Yeah.
inside
It's
joke
just
for
nuts.
fucking like fashion people. We're just like, you need to know like how much do you know of fashion? Do you know $20,000 jean fashion?
Uh-huh.
And then people are like, oh shit, he's got the 20 rack jeans on. Like
Yeah.
that's like I'll say it's like you're wearing a car. Wearing
Yeah.
a fucking pair of car.
a pair
insane.
of car.
Also, it only works for a portion of your life. Like people will notice and be like, "Oh yeah, okay,"
Absolutely. You're
and then they
repeating.
go back
Yeah.
home to your place and they're like, "What? This is a shithole."
Yeah.
Like what? You're not a 20K
You live in your
jeans
car?
guy. Yeah,
You
what
can't
is-
get out of the fucking
Yeah.
Kia with 20 rack
Yeah,
pants on. You know what I mean?
exactly.
Like,
Yeah,
what are you
like
doing?
it's crazy. But yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. I thought about at one point doing, starting another brand that I just did designs that I knew would sell that I wasn't into, but they
Yeah.
were like stuff that is like super trending and things like that. And I was like, I want to make some money off this stuff and also
Yeah.
do my own thing.
Yeah.
But I started working on stuff and I just like always ended up, the design always ended up leaning just towards my brand, even
Yeah.
though I was
Yeah.
trying to do stuff like live, laugh, love would all of a sudden just become like live, laugh, come. And just stuff like that. And I'm like, well, I'll just sell that. That's
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
cool.
That's another one for me.
I'm into
Put
that
it in
one,
my
yeah.
bucket.
And then I just kept doing it. I was like, well, I guess this is good. I'm making designs
for
and
sure.
stuff. But
Yeah.
but yeah, it's hard because
You should just have like a drop down like menu of like the PG version. It's like the actual
Yeah.
live, laugh, love one.
honestly, like, yeah, if
Yeah.
I did that, that actually might work out better. Yeah. But yeah, it's tough though, because like you don't want to have something that you're passionate about become just about the money, because
Right.
then the work's not fun.
Right.
Yeah.
You're just hoping the other way. That's how it all should work. You should, like you said, just be passionate about something. You just do it, and if your tribe will come to you.
Yeah.
And then
You hope.
that's how you could possibly make
Yeah.
any money off of it. You know.
Yeah,
But
completely.
I've had my website, I think, for 5 years now or something, and I think the biggest person to make purchases on it is me.
Yeah.
I think
Loves
'cause
his own work.
I have to pay for samples, and
This
I'm
guy's
like,
amazing.
Uh-huh.
you get like
Yeah.
3 samples in a sample order, like 20% discount of my own prices that I set. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
all right, I'll do that. And you'll do that once a month. And I'm like, okay, I'll just keep buying my own shit.
Yeah.
Every now and
You're
then. I'll
holding
get-
one of his purchases right now.
Oh yeah. I was gonna say. Okay.
yeah.
Who do you use?
I use Printful and then Shopify. So they
Mhm.
just seem to be really good. I did them because their headquarters is in California. I
Yeah.
actually drove to the headquarters of like when I first started it, and I wanted to like know more about them and stuff. But I was like, okay, in case anything weird happens or shit hits a fan, I can always go down there and actually talk to a person and
Close.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not close, but it's definitely drivable, you
Yeah.
know. And so that was like the one thing, and it's so convenient to have like a drop shipping company. They're just, you know, all the sizes, all the colors,
Yeah.
and then they have like AI generated like people wearing your shirts
Yeah.
and stuff, and
All the
then little
mock-ups are
videos,
great.
and
Yeah.
so it's like super cool, super convenient.
Yeah.
And they're always adding stuff onto their catalog,
So
of
much.
stuff. You know,
It's so much stuff.
Yeah.
They have so much stuff. It's crazy.
yeah,
Yeah. And they've grown in an insane way. Like,
Yeah.
because now it's almost everybody's doing third party. It's
Yeah.
either that or it's the like one-off silk screening stuff.
Yeah.
right,
Like you see that still quite a bit, or people like, I get shirts from this guy that does like name brand stuff, or like movies, TV shows, music, but you have to be a part of the text chain to get it because it's only up for a weekend and then it's gone. And that's how he beats cease and desist.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it's all silkscreen. So it's super old school and it's like an art.
That's gonna be like a way more modernized, like streamlined format now than it was. Because like I took a graphics printing class like throughout high school, like a couple of years or some shit. But like that was always one of my favorite things. We're making shirts now. We're making like fucking like putting a screen print on a mirror or whatever the fuck it was. But like
the screen,
you see how it works and shit. You worked at like that. What was that fucking screen printing place in Waukesha?
Yeah, it was it was a shittiest job I ever had. I
Good
just
memory.
literally like took hot shirts that went through like this oven that like dried the ink, and then I put them in a box and did it for like 8 hours a day. It was fucking horrible.
So you were at the end of that conveyor belt?
Yeah. Just all day long. But yeah, it's definitely like there is an art form to that as well. And it's definitely more time consuming, definitely more of a process.
Messy.
But having done that, and then also like taking the same class that he did since we went to high school together, like you see the process of it and like, oh shit, like this is a lot of work, and like you have to get ink and like all of the fucking machine and the pressing, and some of them don't come out right. So you have to throw that $3 shirt away or whatever, $1 it is, and then start over. So when I came across the drop shipping, I was like, oh, this is like the loophole around it. It's such a great way. And then I don't know how to screen on a glass or a fucking everything. They can etch into stuff, and there's just all different embroidery too. Like the embroidery, like for my hat, that's embroidered, all sorts of stuff. And I feel it's just going to keep growing and growing, and the catalog will get bigger.
Completely.
And, so.
Yeah. That was, because that's the hardest thing is when you want to do something like that, you kind of have to either aim at a small handful of designs that you can order in bulk and keep it somewhere.
Right.
And then you just have a ton of sizes, or you do like pre-orders, things like that. When I first started, I was using heat transfer vinyl because then I could just have a ton of blanks at my place. And then you cut the vinyl, you put it on, you heat press it. So I had a heat press vinyl cutter, and then I still have a ton of blanks all over my place. But that was the best way of getting to do a ton of designs and not have to have a warehouse of shirts or like the upfront cash to buy them all.
That's the other thing. Like the money is definitely a cost of entry is like so high doing that shit on your own, and like like room and space to keep all this shit, all that stuff.
Who knows what design's gonna work and things like that.
Then you got like 1,000 fucking shirts that are in a color that no one wants or for some reason or some shit. So it's way easier. So yeah, man, that's fucking pretty cool. I was like, surprised when you said that. I was like, oh, that's fucking cool, man. I'm doing the same shit. Going through the same kind of stuff. But
that's why I knew you guys would like each other. Just making shirts over here. I just wear blank shirts. Just labelless.
Hey, it's great.
I am the product.
No, but it's a blast to just work on weird shit. I just like being weird. Big fan of it.
Well, you do a good job at it.
Thank you. I had somebody come up to me at one point.
Weird guys.
Kind of hit me with the same thing that I was talking about earlier. And I hadn't seen him in like a year or two. And I think I saw him at a show, and he was like, "You're one of the only cats I know that is consistently the same weird."
Dude, I knew because disclosure, we haven't seen each other in like a few years. So this is a whole catch up on camera right now. Apart from the car right over here. But I knew what I was getting. I knew you were to show up as you, just as expected. I saw you at the dog park the other day. That's how this whole thing fucking happened. I was telling Eric. But I'm like, man, I haven't catch with you in a minute, dude. And like, we met through stand up and shit. And just like, always liked your character. We've had pandemics and a whole bunch of crazy shit happen. But now we've reconnected. It's like, you stayed on course.
Completely.
Kudos to you, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, that was funny when you hit me up. You're like, did I just see you at the park? And I'm like, yeah, usually I'm not somebody that's like, oh, I think that was you. It's like
sure.
that was
definitely Jacob.
I'm like the 100%. Easiest Where's Waldo to find. You're like, oh, the tall weirdo.
I was gonna say you're not a short statured person. You're tall,
It's like hanging above stuff, just looking weird and wearing weird
now,
shit.
Let me ask you this. Do you find it offensive when you've met someone before and they kind of like act all brand new? Like, I don't think I've ever met you before. It's like, you don't remember me? I'm fucking like over 6 feet tall. I look like a wrestler.
Look like a wrestler.
Dude, I get like that too. And people, I've like met people, I'm like, and they're like significantly shorter. I'm like, you have to look, you acknowledge, but like, all right, maybe I look generic enough, but there's like, you have a very unique look.
Yeah.
Have you ever had that happen? People are like, I don't think we've like, can you clearly are like, we did a show together.
Yeah. I
drove you home.
I don't think so. I mean, when I was doing stand-up a ton in Michigan, you would like work with people a lot.
Yeah.
And you could tell the people that like weren't in the room when you were on stage.
Yeah.
And you'd see them at something else and they'd be like, oh, hey, what's going on, man? And you're like, we actually did a show a month ago together and stuff like that. But you just dipped afterwards and stuff. But no, I don't. I also think a lot of people just aren't paying attention to stuff. And if they don't want you to be a part of their life, they're not going to be like, oh, you seem cool. I'm going to remember you or something like that. It's just like, I got my stuff and I'm out.
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing.
So when was the last time you did stand up, and what is the future looking like as far as stand-up? Is that something you're kind of tried, did it, you don't like it, or you want to focus more on the brand? Are you like trying to do both at some point again?
Yeah. I mean, I do a ton of stuff. So I have a hard time with that because I'm trying to get better at consistency.
Yeah.
Because I have my fingers in a lot of pies. That's the saying, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got my
dicks in a lot of pies.
my dick in a lot of pies. Yeah. So I'm keeping it warm, but I'm trying different flavors out. But yeah, I don't consistently fuck the same pie.
Yeah.
Which I think is where that's when you can start getting a following, is when you do that. But I get bored with stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
And it becomes like sometimes monotonous, or like I'm doing something too much, but like
analysis paralysis, or like you just like kind of get distracted, and then you're like, I want to do this for a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So I usually like
I do the same thing,
ping pong around.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing now that that's the reason why it's like little progress bars in a bunch of different places, instead of taking all that progress into one thing and putting it all in. And I get that, but that's boring to me. It's very boring. But the last stand up I did was before COVID. I did a show in Michigan, Laugh Fest. I did the Dirty Show and I did some other shows. And when I came back, it was like a week later that everything shut down.
Yeah.
And then when stuff started opening back up again, COVID was still around, and I was like, I don't want to share microphones with people. I don't trust half of the stand-up cats I met to clean themselves, let alone like know if they have COVID or not. And so then I just put myself into some other stuff, like the clothing brand, and just like I learned how to tattoo. I've been making rugs now recently. I'm rug tufting, which is super fun. Weird medium.
Is that like, I've seen those things where like on Instagram where like they like it's like a fluffier rug, but they make like pictures and cartoons and all that stuff. Damn, how the fuck did you start that?
I saw it online, and I was just like, wow, what a weird medium to work in. I want to do that. And I was living with my buddy at the time, and we just didn't have space for it. And so it was also kind of a catalyst to have me move out and be like, I'm going to get my own place.
Grow my rug business.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I've been doing that for the past like 2 years, and I'm making stuff here and there, and I've gotten better and better. And so now I'm at the point where I feel like comfortable enough to take on like custom jobs and commissions.
Do you use templates to like execute that, or is it like more like you drawing and stuff like that?
Yeah, it's you have to like break down the colors. It's like a paint by number almost. You do it, and then you project it up onto the fabric, and then you've got to trace that out, and then you use the gun and you put yarn through it. It's really cool. But it's tough, but and it's tedious. It's like so much work, but it is very fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are some of the designs that you made from it?
I did the most recent ones I did. I recently did a Rogue from X-Men rug. Okay. There was this like viral scene where she falls down at one point and just has a dump truck. And just like absolutely, it's like the animators took that moment to be like, I'm throwing in just this enormous ass on this character, and it's in no other part of the show. And it's just super fun. And it's her like laying down after she fell down. And so I did that one, and I found an old like 80s Ninja Turtle one where same thing. The animators just took advantage. April O'Neil was tied up, just busty, just crazy. And so, it seems like I tend to lean like cartoon horny with a lot of the designs I've done.
Delve into G.I. Joe, because I've been watching G.I. Joe with my kid, right?
Okay.
And I was like, dude, these chicks are all fucking bangers. Like, every one of them, even the bad chicks, I'm like, are badass bodies. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And it's funny because like, I bought him vintage G.I. Joes from like fucking our childhood, because the shit they make now are all chintzy and they break real easy and stuff like that. So to get him like, to know what the fuck these like action figures are, we were watching like this 24/7 loop on YouTube. And I'm like, damn, like they just put these chicks in, then their hair's all messy and shit like that. And there's like, oh, yeah, this chick gets fucking knocked out. Like one of the Cobra comes in and fucking clubs her from the back. And then like she comes up, she's like, oh, he hit me from behind. I was like, what is this, dude? It's like a fucking softcore porn joke animation thing.
Yeah, there's a ton of that. That's been very fun to see, like the internet going wild with like the cartoons we grew up with, and some of the super unhinged stuff that was slipped in.
Yeah,
that's just very funny now. But yeah, I've done some other stuff. I made my cousin a rug of Scruffy from Futurama. That one was huge. I did a Totoro rug.
What's the biggest rug you made?
That one was probably the biggest. That one was like, I want to say like 6 foot by 3.5, 4 foot.
Okay.
Rectangle kind of thing.
Yeah.
So long. It took me so long. Yeah.
How long? So long?
Like that one was probably like 36 to 42 hours somewhere in there.
Shit.
It was a long time.
Damn, dude.
And it's because you put in the yarn, and then once you're done, you glue the back. You got to do all this other stuff to get it like finished. And then after that, you still have to go in and trim between the colors. To make it pop, because the yarn like get intertwined, and so it looks like fuzzy lines.
Right.
It doesn't look clean. And so that's the majority of the time is that.
Yeah. And then you have to shave it too, like they do in the video. That's crazy.
Yeah. So it's a ton of work.
Yeah.
But then you see this thing and you're like, oh, this is it's fly.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I got a new place, and I've like got like a rug that kind of started the whole place right now. I bring my dog over once in a while, bring my kid over and shit. And he's pissed on all my rugs. I'm like, fuck, man, if Ace fucks this rug up, I'm gonna go find another rug of like similar color palette, because it fits, all the shit's tied together from said rug and shit. But if I can make my own rug and add a little flair to it, but you and I'll be
just
a
make a rug with like a big
Yeah.
bullseye and then like a yellow spot in the middle.
Yeah.
Don't piss.
Something he's afraid of maybe, and they won't piss on it or something.
Bunch of bees.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Spawn at it shit.
But yeah, so I stay busy with stuff. But I have been missing stand up. I went to a Scoville show recently where he did his improvised stuff.
Yeah.
Huge fan of his for such a long time. So cool to see him doing big stuff. He was in that movie Babylon. I work at a prop house and I made stuff for that. And so it was like neat to be like, same kind of, and like when I go to shows, it makes me want to get back on stage. Yeah. But I haven't been writing in a while. But also no one knew me anyway, so I could just use my old material.
For sure.
Yeah. And so just kick into that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do miss it. It's fun. But I had more fun in Michigan doing it than I have out here ever.
What brought you back to Michigan? Was it for comedy, or did you go back? Were you doing that first out in Michigan and then you moved out here?
Yeah.
Or like, okay.
Yeah. So I was in Michigan up until I've been here like 9.5, 10 years, I think. I came out here to do stand up or just like get into acting or writing or anything like that kind of thing. But I was doing stand up a ton in Michigan. That was like the main thing. And then working odd jobs and stuff like that. And it was just such a different vibe out here with everything.
Do you think the audiences are more focused there because there aren't a lot of like comics and people doing like things outside the norm? Like we're here, it's like it's oversaturated with everyone's trying to be creative, everyone's trying to do something, and so it's like, I'll just go to a show next week, there's like 20 other shows I can go to, so it's like they're kind of less incentivized to like really focus on one club or one person.
I mean, sort of, I think it was mainly because the audiences were audiences. It wasn't comics.
Yeah.
Like, because the shows I've done out here that I really enjoyed were people that showed up for comedy and were there to have fun and laugh. But then you're doing stuff where you're hitting mics where you might not even get on stage.
Yeah.
You're excited about a new bit and you never get to do it. You sit for 2 or 3 hours in a room waiting to get your name pulled out of a bowl.
Right.
You never do. It's very defeating.
Yeah.
It's tough, and it makes it tough to want to write, but then it also makes you like trust yourself and be like, I'm funny, I trust this.
Yeah.
But then you don't get to try it until you're in front of that real audience.
Yeah.
Because comics, I feel like, are also can tend to like not like purposely not laugh because you're competition.
Oh, for sure. That's like the beauty of the audition like spot mic for like a club where it's just like, all right, everybody, tighten up. It's your competition. And shit. But like post-pandemic, they've been a lot more receptive and shit.
Oh yeah,
it is just getting like pulled from the bucket and shit. So there's
I think that's like a weird thing about like the comedy scene. Like I still feel it has that like that vibe of like pay to play kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like for music it used to be that where it's like, oh, you want to play here? You got to pay to play here. It's like, all right, well, I'm like doing a fucking like job. It's like hiring a plumber to fucking fix your clogged toilet. And then you go to the plumber. All right, thanks for fixing my clogged toilet. Now give me $100. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? I just did something for you. Like, why am I being charged to like do something for you? Well, so I went a few months ago to the Comedy Store with Tony and another buddy that are stand-up comics and did the whole waiting in line thing with them. And I'm like, you guys fucking do this shit? This fucking waiting out here? There's like 50 people and you guys like don't even know if you're gonna get called. And then if you do, it's like you said, it's a bunch of like butthurt fucking comics that are just like, I'm not laughing, or they're like real judgmental and shit. I'm like, fuck those places that make people do that. I think it's better off going to play. If you don't have a show
or anything else to do, then you might as well fucking throw your name. It's like you can't.
Totally.
I guess, but I still think it's like.
Dude, it's a fucking hazing thing, like any kind of fraternity and shit. But like,
it's super old school.
It's super old school. Where like, I'm like, you'd better be like, your time would be better used like going to like a comedy show that you put on, or like I'm sure there's like a bunch of those where at least you're getting like an audience, whether or not be and even those shows too. It's not like what is it? Set of the Night is like a thing they have actually tonight at the store. It's a 2-minute set in front of a bunch of fucking comics and shit. And then, but now there's actually audience there.
Podcast?
No, it's just like you do a 2 minutes, kind of like Kill Tony almost like, but it's like a 2-minute thing. You just do like basically a low key audition spot. And then I don't know what actually happens if you get the set of the night, but it's a 2-minute spot. I think you might get like a guaranteed spot on Potluck or some shit.
Okay.
Which is another auditioning spot because then the booker's there and stuff. But either way, it's like if you don't have shit going on or you have a show that you did before, got to go fucking touch base with the fucking mothership and then go home.
I don't know.
I mean, it's an out here thing though too, because like other places you can get away with just putting on your own shows and still getting attraction and stuff like that. But out here, it's definitely like it's harder to do that kind of thing. And I mean, I'm saying this without any knowledge of actually trying or doing that at all. But it's like there are those institutions put into place here that you're like, I got to play the game.
Right.
And it is.
I spent a lot of time in the years I've been doing stand up, doing fucking bar shows and other shit that like might actually pay well, get more time, all this kind of stuff. But like, I'm not going to get past at a fucking like a Guinness pub. You know what I mean? It's just, it's not going to happen. Like there's like, and you got to get in the clubs. And then if you meet fucking people in the clubs want to take you, it's just, that's the progression of things. And trying to take your time using it more wisely. But I feel there is more like kind of roadblocks for like, or gatekeepers or like, you're not getting picked tonight. You just wasted 3 hours. Well, and it's just like,
I think like it was like it's such an old concept because it's like, that like was the only like venue, but now you don't even need any of those venues or like the Laugh Factory and the fucking Comedy Store. These places that are like, you have to be the fucking dishwasher to even get a like on any fuck that. That's all bullshit. Now there's social media, so now you can just bypass and be like, all right, well, guess what? I'm gonna still work on my craft. I'm gonna still play in front of an audience. Granted, it's not going to be at a comedy store, this fucking gatekeeper bullshit. And I can just put out my video and put out my content. And if it connects with people, it's going to connect. Like you can totally like, I don't know why. I don't know.
Do both. I mean,
but like you're wasting so much time going to these, like giving them all this, like,
what's wasted time? I mean, like
3 hours is a waste of fucking time. You could be home editing a clip and posting it and doing it.
It's the nights that they have those things. I don't know. I mean,
I look at it as like just fuck those people. They should all go out of business. They should all be fucking like.
Oh, I don't know.
I agree with those places are fucking just trash. They're owned by like trash fucking people that have this like monopoly on artists that is just like they're like the fucking like Napster of fucking like comedy clubs or some bullshit. Like they're just fucking like ripping people away from their art.
Yeah, but I look at it this way, Eric. It's like an honor to be part of that, like your name on the wall at the store. You've gone through a vetting system. You're like good enough.
It's the same shit as like going on a talk show. Who gives a? Nobody watches talk shows. They have the same shit. Like, oh, I was on we had guests on here that have been on talk shows. It's like, nobody fucking saw it because nobody watches that bullshit. Same thing with that. It's like, were you at my fucking show that one night at the Comedy Store? No, I wasn't. All right, well, who gives a fuck then? Because some old lady that works there, lives there, that owns it, gave you like some blessing.
Your badges for completing these fucking things. Like, you can't get a fucking weaving one unless you do a fucking weaving thing. So you can't say I was on fucking like Letterman.
Half the fucking people on the marquees are all these fucking Instagrammers and YouTubers that are headlining them. They didn't have to do any of that bullshit. They literally are showing you. This is how you bypass all this bureaucracy and all this bullshit. You can just fucking do your own thing.
I'm saying, as far as like comics like credentials and shit. There's like a certain. It's not again. Take the money out of it and just the actual like
exactly. Taking the money out of their pockets into yours.
I mean, that's the club business in general, though. Yeah. I mean, that's a hard thing. You got to know. When I was first out here, I did that Burbank Comedy Festival, and they had a bunch of like panels that you could go sit down at. Yeah. And there was one that had comedy club owners on it. And I was like, awesome. I'm gonna get to see some cats talk about stuff like what's the best way of like getting into those. And I had a buddy that would headline that brought me along to different places, so I'd met a lot of the people at these clubs, but not necessarily in enough to like feature or do anything there. I was like, let me get a little insight. And every single one of them said, I don't care how funny you are. If you fill the seats, that's all I'm worried about. Yeah. It's a business. Yeah. That's the thing. And that's unfortunately, I mean, that's show business in general. There's no fun ride of getting there at all. And it's either work this way, like what you're talking about, go on and get your social media game super tight and high, but that's everyday stuff that's like that kind of thing, or you can do the full experience of like going to these different clubs. But I'd say at least you're in
control of that when you have the social media, so you're in control of that. Like where you're not like, oh, it's this guy who is an asshole or may not like me because I wear a moist bandana or some bullshit, like he's like there's some X factor that you don't have control of that could be dictating whether or not your career goes the way you want it or not. Whereas like if you're doing it through social media and all the platforms, you have control of that. Like you don't have to worry about like somebody dictating like, well, no, he looked at me this way, or he said this one joke I don't like, so I'm never going to do it. So you may spend your whole fucking life standing in line at a comedy store, fucking 3 hours a night, wasting your life with being like, oh, I hope they pick me and I'm really funny and my things like, it's like, why do people care about the fucking like the blessing of this trash ass fucking thing? It's like if you're undeniable, then people will find you and reach out to you regardless. Whether
they're not gonna come knock on your apartment door though. They're not gonna fucking like see you in a
yes,
bowling
they do.
alley.
They literally the people on the marquees are people
outside,
that
you have to fucking put something out there for content. So where do you do these shows? So it's
you are the perfect example. You literally have like 30 shows across town that you do all the time. You do one here, you do one down the street.
Shit, though. That's the thing.
Well, that's your own fucking fault. Exactly. You're letting other people dictate your career.
Per our conversation in the car right over here, I got the back half of this year. I'm a fucking watch out, content's coming out right now.
Yeah, but like it's on you. Like
I know this, Eric. I know this. And
listen, it's not for you. Clearly, it's clearly not for you.
Comedy right now.
I mean, I've done the same shit in music too. Like I played in bands and played shows, and it was all this like, oh, who do we got? We get the asses in the seat, and how many tickets can you sell? Yeah, you can play here. All you have to do is sell like 300 tickets at $50 a pop, and you can play at the Whiskey or fucking all these bullshit. It's like now you don't. It literally eliminates all of those fucking gatekeepers. It all in all facets of creativity. They don't hold any key. The only thing that they hold is like the mindset of that they still have this power, which they don't. It's all gone. It's just like this like old mindset of like, oh, you gotta pass and you gotta. It's like no, fuck off.
Who hurt you?
Yeah.
I see my friends and I see other creative people that are super talented that like are being held back by people that have zero talent. That's
the rub though. That is the business. And it's always been that. And it's ever since I've like, there's always that you meet some of these fucking bookers and it was like a dishwasher that got promoted to being the talent coordinator. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? I worked at the Improv and who was the head booker when I worked there went on to be like the manager of like the front of the house, right? And then
Yeah,
someone that was
probably
like a fucking
miserable
server.
fuck that's just like some fucking bitter
Nice
asshole.
person, very
like
nice person.
sounds like a lot like me.
Not at all.
That got a job there. Now they're like in charge of it.
That, and it was just like there was no development program and stuff. And then it was just like some server that got promoted to take her job over. I'm like, what does she know about talent? You know what I'm saying? Like you have someone with like decades of experience, and then they just like they move a job title. Now someone's come up, and now they're actually who's coordinating.
No one knows anything about talent. That's a whole fucking other bullshit misconception. Look at half the things. I'd say 99% of the things that get made that we watch and films that are made, you're like, who the fuck passed?
But I'm saying this had to go by like position was
millions of dollars being funded, executives, all these fucking people, and it's like a horseshit trash movie, trash actors, trash everything. And it's like people everyone's like, "Yep, this is talented. This is gonna make money. This is that." It's like, no, it's all just bullshit. It's
just
all
because people aren't buying your shirts doesn't mean to hate every fucking critic out there.
Buy the fucking shit.
No one knows my shit, man. No one knows talent. Look what I'm wearing. Look at this. Look at the hat.
I'm not waiting in the line.
I thought it. They put on the hat. So it was in my head. Now it's on my head.
All I'm saying is like it's like saying like like they can like a food critic. It's like who gives a fuck?
I think there are people that are
like,
good at judging fucking talent. There's not. You can't argue that, man.
Yeah, it's called the public. They're like, wow, that was great.
Right,
I will buy that, or I will
so
follow that.
You don't think there's fucking actual baseball scouts? Someone that sees this kid's got a good arm. He's not even using his fucking throwing properly. You don't think there's the same way in a comedic sense as far as joke structure, general presence on stage, and all that kind of shit. Someone
How hard
can judge
is it?
that.
Be
Hold
like,
on.
is this guy making me laugh or not? It's simple.
Eric, no, there's like
yes, that's it. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Is this guy making me laugh? Is this funny?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you could find like some weird asshole that fucking laughs at some really dumb shit, but like if the majority of people that
we're on the same side here. I just like
I know, but I don't know why you're like defending like idiocracy.
Because you're trying to say that there's no way you can judge talent. That was what you said.
You can't have one person dictate who
Yes, you can. That's how the shit works. That's how
unfortunately.
Yeah, that's how it. Any comedy club or any fucking place that has talent bookers, there's usually one person that's the dude or chick or the person, the they, them, the all inclusive. But they are a gatekeeper. And that's like the crazy thing is sometimes you just meet a booker and they just don't fucking like you. And it's just, that just doesn't matter what the fuck you did. Doesn't matter how good you do on stage. They're just like, not my person. I like this guy, but I don't like this guy. That's just it.
Yeah. And then you say, fuck that guy. And
for
just
sure.
start posting all your shit on all the
But then
social
if you
media.
still get booked on like that show, you just still go kill it and you just know like that guy's gonna fucking always be like, yeah.
There's so many stories of those cats being proved wrong too. I mean, they'll be like, I didn't like this cat. No, it's blown up and stuff.
Well, that's like that. The funny thing is when they do like the ass kiss, you're like, oh, come to our venue. Yeah, come. Like there's a place in the valley that's like that. That's like a bunch of people went through them and they did good. And then they're like, oh my God, I'm so happy you're back at our club. Can I take a picture with you? There's all this kind of shit.
Yeah.
Like, man, you weren't checking me for me when you're when I was trying to come up. Now that you have some clout and stuff like that, and you're like, they were their first set here and stuff. And it's like very transparent, but that's the business, man.
I just watched that Nickelback documentary on Netflix.
Oh, did you?
Fucking great.
Is it?
It's like, it was like everyone just fucking hating on them and stuff. And then they go like through the laundry list of awards and things that like the biggest selling band in like the last like 20 years, like fucking the most like.
Proving your point, people can't judge talent.
Well, right. They can't. They didn't. They were just like, on their own. They did their own thing.
Music. I love this.
No, they're a good band. They created a bunch of stuff that whether or not people
if
like,
you
talk
like
shit
it, if that's
about
your
it,
niche, I can then go have as much Nickelback as you want, but I will never listen to Nickelback.
You're not a nickel guy.
I do not nickel. I don't Nickelback.
Dude, that's some good tunes.
I have a guilty pleasure with Stain, which is way cooler than Nickelback. But Nickelback's just like like a neutered Stained.
Wait, what was Stain's big one?
Now that we're here, so I think that's him.
I don't know that one. Why can't I remember the one that I used to say with my buddy?
So far away.
That's Stain. But they're a band that I'm like, oh, I remember these songs. They're on the radio a lot. They're kind of depressing and shit. And then you're like, there's a couple like heavier ones, but I never was like, do you not have listened to them well? Fucking Stained. You know what I mean? And now, like 20 some years later, I'm like, Stained actually wasn't that bad. But I'd never been like, dude, I missed out on Nickelback the same way with fucking.
No, and they go
It's
through
all
that on the
subjective.
documentary. The reason why people started hating them so much because they had like 3 #1 hits within like the same like few months, and so they said every radio
people
station.
were surprised, like, how are these
like-
3 terrible songs becoming #1 hits?
No, they had like
Has
this-
everyone gone bad?
It was a Spider-Man soundtrack. It was something else and like 2 other songs or 1 other song. And they said like every 3 minutes on every radio station, like across the fucking planet,
Nickelback was
they
on.
had Nickelback on. So it was like an oversaturation of them to where people were just like, fuck these guys. Like, you know, and you hear
Yeah.
something again, then you're like,
Never
all right.
been it on the wire, man.
Yeah. But it's the same thing though. It's like, and then now they're showing like, there was so many memes of like talking shit about Nickelback. It starts off too with Ryan Reynolds being like, hey, there's one thing we can all agree on. Nickelback is fucking awesome. And then because they're a Canadian band too.
Yeah.
So it's like that. And they were in like Deadpool. I think they did like a cameo. They did like a whole bit with was it Fred Savage from Wonder Years?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Huh.
he's in like something with Deadpool. and they start singing the song at the end. And it was like, yeah, like it was like a good song. And it was like, it's not like, don't like try to read into it. It was like fun, good music,
It's
rock
just
and roll.
like commercial cheese, man. That's not my shit. Like it.
Yeah, some of it was, but also it was like
There's like the
there was
grittier version of that, which was like the Stained. It's kind of a similar
Right.
like singing style, but I just never got.
It's not your cup of nickels.
No.
got your
Yeah,
cup of nickels.
no,
But they show they showed
these
like
nickels back. Take them off.
they showed like how like all the memes of like hating Nickelback, and then like there's like a bunch of memes of like people singing like oh like it says like fucking hate Nickelback suck, and then like the song's on in the background, the guy's in his car, and then all of a sudden he's like
Knows
fucking
the
starts
lyrics.
singing the song, and
Yeah.
then he's going wrong, and so he's like there's this huge wave of like a younger generation that like weren't even born when that shit came out that are like finding that music now, and like it's revived it, and those
Yeah.
guys are still playing out like huge arenas. I'm like a diehard Nickelback fan, never seen them
Apparently
live.
you are. Start
But,
making
like-
Nickelback shirts.
But
Check
no,
the-
it's like,
check the website.
again, it's just like showing like, you know, they did their own thing and they were super successful regardless of what people said about them. They
It's
still
not-
found their
Eric,
way.
it's- People loved them. It's not like regardless of people said it's like regardless if they had 3 #1 hits back to back. It's like they were doing amazing. They were like it's not like they didn't have a rough go. They
Yeah,
fucking
but they had like a lot of
extremely
haters in the
commercial
beginning
successful.
before they were like successful.
Because
And then they
there's
had
just-
these
it's
songs
like,
out.
look, dude.
With fame, you're also always guaranteed to get people on both sides.
Yeah.
Like that's that's what's just gonna happen too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of, they had a
just-
lot of fame.
It's the nature of the beats.
Yeah.
I don't like NSYNC. They were extremely commercial successful, dude. Like fucking and that's the same thing too. That generation, we work with a bunch of dudes that are like, I don't know, fucking 10, 12 years younger, listen shit that like, but like listen to NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, and I'm like, this shit's trash, dude. I hated this. I was like, the grocery store I worked at in high school started playing. I like ran out. I'm like, I gotta leave. It was like a fire fucking emergency. I was like, now they've infiltrated my place of business and shit.
Everything's
like-
coming back though. It's crazy.
But they also didn't know like it was like trash music when it came out, right? So
Those are
they're
like oldies now.
Yeah.
for
those are
sure.
like-
So it's like the Beatles,
Oh,
like you know,
oldies is on. Oh, what is
Yeah.
this? You know, it's like
my mom hated the Beatles when she was a kid, and when I'd hear them in the car, I was like, "This is a great song." She's like, "Ah, I fucking hated this song." I was
Yeah.
like, and that's
Yeah,
like
that's
insane to
funny.
me. Yeah,
Everybody had that. Yeah, that
yeah, for
generation
sure.
of
It's
stuff
just
where
like
it was just
and
like
it's good
that
music.
thing.
It's good fucking pop, cheese, trash, and shit like that. And you know, hats off to the fucking young kids that like that. But like, I know that shit wasn't cool when it came out, and I haven't like, you know, I don't have a lack of music that I got to go through fucking Nickelback's catalog to find, you know, good music. There's plenty of good shit out there. I'll send you shit, man. I'm a music dealer. You need some music, Jacob? I'll fucking send you tracks you didn't
Yeah,
even
dude,
solicit.
please do. Yeah.
Just
That's,
pollute
I
your
listen to the
fucking,
same
like,
shit I've been
yeah,
listening to since high school over and over again.
What's in your heavy rotation right now?
I either listen to stuff that I used to listen to in high school, like My Chemical Romance and like Blink, stuff
Yeah.
like that, or I listen to like nowadays high school girl music.
Okay.
Yeah, there's like stuff that like I went to a concert when I was first out here. There's this artist Melanie Martinez
Okay.
that I got into, and I was like, dude, I'm in LA. I bet you she's coming through here at some
Yeah,
point. And
yeah.
she was new. She was on The Voice. So she was playing at the Mint, and I was like, oh, it's like 2 weeks from now.
Yeah.
I went. I was like one of 3 other people that didn't have a big M on their hand.
No way.
And it was just all these young girls, and I was like, oh boy, I really can't look like this and be here at the same time.
Like, yeah, you
Yeah.
girls like ice cream?
Yeah, exactly. But there's a lot of stuff out there that I dig. There's a lot that I don't. There's but
you didn't have the headband down when you were there. Were
Yeah.
you?
I might have.
That's like,
I don't think I had it designed yet, but I
It's
had my vibe.
Rough cuts of the Moist
Yeah.
brand, like, you know.
Exactly, yeah.
it's actually the M from the hands that you
Right,
use for the-
that's
exactly.
how
I
the
was
Moist
oh,
started.
hey, let's
Fonzie
go.
took, yeah. It's a Millionaire Martinez M for Moist.
Yeah. I have not gone back to a concert of hers, but I still listen to the music. It's great. But yeah, I'm like old emo stuff, Taking Back Sunday. Love.
Taking Back Sunday was great.
Yeah.
Sure. I like My Chemical Romance too. It sucks that like Brand New got canceled. You know what I mean? And there's a like Lost Prophets got canceled. There's a bunch of like, you know, bands of that era that kind of like apparently Brand New singing about 14-year-old fucking like heartaches and 14-year-old girls is actually still currently singing about 14-year-old girls.
Yeah,
like
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were touring with Modest Mouse not too long ago, I think, and I almost went out to see that too. But I also don't like. I have a really good time at concerts, but getting me out to one is tough.
Yeah, same.
I'm trying to do better at that lately, man. I'm gonna actually go see Green Day and Rancid at like the SoFi.
Oh,
like,
cool.
At the like I think next month or some shit. But
yeah, how much did that run you?
I think like 175.
Yeah.
But I saw like Less Than Jake and MXPX. Like I like, you know, punk music and shit. And I saw them at the fucking Palladium like in January. One of the coolest shows I've ever been to. Like I never saw those guys when I was a kid in high school when they first came out. I saw Rancid a bunch of times. Rancid was like one of the first concerts I went to.
Okay.
And like Green Day.
Where was that?
I still listen to a lot of
where
punk
we
music.
saw Nonpoint at
the Palladium.
I want to go see like a metal show at the Palladium again. Like something like SoFi is really cool. We saw like Metallica and Five Finger Death Punch there like not too long ago, and it was really cool. It was great, but like it's still just too big. Like I want to get like a little.
But it is cool having that massive experience with everyone. In a band like Metallica, when there's like these like, you know, decades old hits and shit, and everyone's kind of like, you know, singing the Black Album together and shit. That's fucking dope. And I feel in the same way too. But dude, seeing the Palladium and seeing like Less Than Jake do an album I had in like high school, I'm like, you know, 20 some years later, I'm like, this is fucking awesome. Like it's just, but then also too, dude, there's like all these songs are like, they're kind of emo punk songs, and it's like about heartache and heartbreak and shit. I'm like, did I manifest my divorce? Because it's like the kind of fuel that I had. I'm like, I'm gonna have my heart. She's gonna rip my heart out. You know what I mean? There's all this kind of crazy shit. I'm like, oh my god, it's a great song though. Like,
you're like, I gotta start going to different concerts.
Yeah, right. More uplifting.
No, they're
gonna do these Nickelback concerts.
Yeah, exactly.
3 number one hits in a row.
Get some bussy rednecks coming over here. Let's go. I went to the Troubadour to see this indie guy called Hobo Johnson and the Love Makers. That I had never been. That place is really cool because it's just so small.
Yeah,
you're just right there.
Yeah, Troubadour is cool.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah,
I like those intimate shows. Well, Jacob, this is the time of the podcast where we want to let our guest let everybody know where they can find your brand, where they can find your clips or your social media, all that stuff, where we can just flood them to you through this channel here.
Yeah.
Get your fucking order button ready.
I was going to say, this is when you guys hear I haven't said anything and I'm like
laughing his ass
OnlyFans it's Instagram is Jacob Allen Kubon. And moistjunk.com. I mostly sell most of my stuff through Etsy though, because I'm not good at advertising.
Yeah.
So if you search Moist Junk on Etsy, you're gonna have to type these things in. But yeah, moistjunk.com is my Shopify spot. I've not updated it in a while. Etsy's updated usually more so. I'll get better at this at some point. I swear I will. But then Insta, I post some stuff. Once I get this rug thing going, Moist Rugs, stuff like that.
Moist Rugs.
So it's just like
the name that keeps giving moist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you'll hopefully see me getting moist all over the place at some point. Yeah.
Sweet. But, I hope so too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you'll have to come back and you'll be one of our sponsors then.
Yeah. You know? I mean, hey, not
sponsored by Moist.
Yeah.
Get you now a Moist podcast.
Decked out. Yeah. Moist gear. I'll give you some stuff that's like little moist.
I just want to be a little moist.
Yeah. That way you can be
a little moist.
Blank shirt the rest of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or maybe give me a moist back.
There you go. Yeah.
Moist back.
Yeah. You can find me at Tony Klein Comedian on Instagram and my unupdated website, TonyKleinComedian.com. Eric, do your 10-minute speech. I hereby.
You can find me on this podcast, The Eric and Tony Show. You can also find any apparel that we have on the ericandtonyshow.com. You can buy a beer mug, t-shirt, and all that stuff. Help support the channel. You can also find clips of this podcast on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Every single day we do 60-second clips on each one of those platforms. We post the full episode of this podcast on Monday on YouTube, so you can watch the whole thing. Have a Eric and Tony Show beer mug, have some beer with your t-shirt on and be a total psychopath and watch us for the hour. And then we drop the full audio on Spotify every Monday as well. So way for you guys to follow along and kind of get little cliff notes of us throughout the week and what we were talking about and who our guest was. So kind of keep an eye out for that. And that is where you can find me. This is all I do. So thank you for stopping by. Thanks again, Jacob, for being on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
This is a fun one.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
keep an eye out for Moist Apparel. It's coming at you.
Moist up this year.
Yeah, getting moisted up. All right, we're out. Peace.